Okay, so yeah, so the reality is that, the perception of what a typical video gamer is that of a young student, child, a nerdy, dorky guy who's kind of video gaming for hours at a stretch. He's sitting in his parents' house inside the basement, and he's constantly just, shooting, and he's going on, and he's totally lost in his fantasy world, and he's totally oblivious to what is happening around him. So that has been the perception so far of video games. And now, after a long while, it is actually, changing, and it's becoming this universal phenomenon. It's becoming a place where everybody can be somebody, and you necessarily don't have to be a child who's playing video games. And when you see, this presentation, when you hear about this 84-year-old granny gamer, you realize that, gaming is becoming very inclusive. There is no age, bias. There's no gender bias. It's becoming a place where everybody can kind of, get in and have fun. And the second thing that the perception of video games is changing drastically is that it used to be a place where, I could catch up with my friends and play video games, but now it's also about, professional networking. Like, I'm seeing a lot of executives and a lot of corporate people jump inside video games and network with their fellow colleagues or potential people that they want to do business with. So it's becoming the new golf. The other thing that's really interesting that's happening with video games is that there is, big politicians all around the world who are starting to use video games to be able to reach young people in these virtual playgrounds where they hang out. And the other thing is, directors like Christopher Nolan are actually also premiering their movies inside Tenet, inside video games.
Fortnite.
Yeah, inside Fortnite. So really, like, some things that we haven't really heard or seen before.
Apex
And
Legends.
then, yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that's happening is that a lot of, music artists, right, like your Travis Scott and Marshmello and Drake, all of these guys are using video games as venues. They're actually hosting full-blown live music concerts inside video games during COVID induced cancellation. And the thing here is that the expectation from users is not to come and actually play video games, but actually to just, come and hang out or loiter around and, connect with friends and have a community experience of, attending a music concert. The other thing is that a lot of e-commerce is also starting to happen inside video games, in the sense that a lot of brands like Burberry and Armani and Gucci, they're all starting to associate with video games so that they can reach out to young people, and especially the people who are not on your cable television platforms and are only found on live streaming and OTT platforms. The other interesting thing that's happening is that, the greatest military on earth, the US Army, also has a esports team of their own, and is now starting to use that esports team to be able to recruit young and new soldiers during cancellation and the pandemic. And a lot of universities all around the world, hosting their virtual graduation ceremonies inside video games. And now all of this has been possible because, of the interactive and the immersive nature of video games, to be able to recreate a very offline experience inside a video game. And closer to the world of sport, also, if you see, Tour de France and Ironman and NASCAR and Formula One, all have actually kind of turned to their esports avatar during cancellation, and they're recreating that whole magic, which was, more offline, into very much online. All right, so I'm going to move to the next section. We're just going to talk about, where does video games and esports stand as on date in terms of how big it is, how much money is being made inside video games, and so that you have a sense of how big this industry is. So if you look at the global video gaming and esports market, there are four main constituent guys. First, on the left, you have the video gamers, which is almost 2.7 billion gamers worldwide, which is 1 in 3 people play video games. A fun fact that, gaming is 3 times bigger than the film industry and 4 times bigger than the music industry. which will be very surprising to most of you. Then on the right you have the viewers, which is almost 495 million viewers. Now these are guys who are just not watching, but they're also watching because they want to become better at their own game, and kind of learn, the tricks and concepts that are applied by the pro gamers. So that's how they're very interactive. Then you have the creators, which is 50 million creators. Now you guys must all be accessing Instagram and whatnot, right? So you must be seeing a lot of content out there,
Yes, sir.
content from health and fitness and food and whatnot, right? So gamers also create a lot of content around games, and they're called streamers. These are guys who are half athletes and half influencers. So they're not like playing competitively, but they're still streaming to large audiences. So we have 50 million in number right now, and it's growing really, really quickly. And another fun fact: 5 out of the top 10 YouTubers in 2020 belong to the world of gaming. So not just a simple kind of like a simple fad, but something which is very mainstream. And in the center, we have the pro esports industry, which is consisting of pro esports teams as well as pro esports players. And this industry, which is what is the most esports oriented industry, is $1 billion, whereas the video gaming industry is $175 billion. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that esports is a kind of a profitable minority of the larger video gaming industry, but it's growing very fast, and it's a place where a lot of young people are getting involved. So one of the questions that we get asked is esports or sports. What's really happening in esport is that the athlete is actually your brain, right? And your bodily coefficients or your gene pool, all of this doesn't matter. So what really matters is, your brain and how fast you're actually punching the keyboard. And for the first time now, after, this whole lockdown period got over, a lot of stakeholders from sports, esports, and media and entertainment industry are saying that yes, esports is most akin to the sports industry than any other form of media. And that's because both sports and esports stem from the same facts of skill, spectacle, and competition. There is a skill required, right? Esport is not a game of chance. You need to practice and become better. Spectacle, because so many people are watching, it's such an enjoyable experience. And competition, because we are competing with the other person. One very interesting thing happened, in 2014. ESPN usually broadcasts only sports related stuff. And when esports started becoming popular, the ESPN top boss said, "Okay, I'm not going to broadcast it because it's not a sport." And then come, few years down the line, ESPN is actually broadcasting 12 hours of esports content on its network. So that just goes to show that the acceptance of esport as a sport has grown over time. One of the things that I want to talk about here is that there is a lot of debate around, when will esports become more and more integrated into the global sports tournaments like the Olympic Games or the Asian Games. And while that debate is still going on, what is happening is that the Olympics has said that yes, we must, engage with the hundreds of millions of gamers worldwide if we want to remain relevant inside the mind of a sports fan. And that's happening because a lot of young people aren't really watching traditional sport, and they're actually more and more on digital platforms, and they're consuming more esports content. So what I feel is that it'll be the Olympics that will need the esports more than the other way around. Coming back to what is esports, esports is based on two main pillars. It's competitive video gaming, played as a spectator sport, competitive in the sense that it's played between two or more people with the intention of winning and not just for fun. And as a spectator sport, it's actually, something that is enjoyable, something that is watchable, and something that you love watching with your friends. And one of the things that I want to tell you guys, which I always point out, and I also pointed out to so many of other people in the industry, that it's not E hyphen sports or E capital sports. It's actually esports. Just like you write email as one word, it's esports.